today is I'm going to be telling you a story about something that happened to me when I was about 25 years old. Uh, it is it was really hard for me to share that. I have many other stories, but this one is one of the most difficult to share that with the public. I did that in my book, which is on Kindle Amazon. I am an alien, I think. That's the title of the book, and that story is in there. All the other stories, it's going to be time for them at some other time. So let's go and let's start my story. Since a few videos was already dedicated to stuff that is hard to explain, very strange and bizarre, as promised, I'm going to share some of my own, one of my personal experiences if it comes to disappearances, because that episode could end up differently. However, I am here today to tell the story and share the story with others, because I understand now that there are a lots of people that had similar experiences, even though they were in different circumstances. So let's get to the story right away. When I was about 25, maybe 28, somewhere in that area, after work, one of the co-workers invited me for a beer. So I never say no to beer at that time. So I went to his house. We were chatting, talking small talks, complaining and so on. And finally we ran out of beer. So he decided, you know what, let's go, and I'm gonna bring some more. He left. It was already late. He left. He said that he's going to be back in half an hour with another case of beer. But that didn't happen. So I waited another 5 minutes and decided it's time for me to leave, because I cannot stay in his house. Who knows? People are gonna think that I broke into his house or something like that. So I started walking. But as soon as I left his house, I realized, wait a minute, I do not have a bus home. It was already midnight. And the closest place that I could go was my workplace. At workplace, I could crash at the couch of a watchman, night watchman. The place that I was working, it was construction supply warehouse, where we were dealing with other companies that were doing the infrastructure all around our region. So I started walking towards that. I think it was either October or early November. It was soggy, it was foggy, drizzle was coming down. For the most of the road, which was about maybe 40-45 minutes to that place, I was walking on pavement. There was a sidewalk, there was a paved road, but the last 10 minutes I had to pass by a cemetery. I am not that afraid of cemetery, because they always, when I am there, they are so peaceful. There is so much. The outside noise of the world is almost not existent. This is some kind of the mystical feeling over there is always getting to me, that it's helping me forget about the outside world of the craziness over the money and having things and the struggle and so on. So cemetery never had negative impact on me. I know there were stories that people were running away from ghosts and stuff like that. Maybe there are, I don't know. Perhaps the farther we go into the story, then you will understand. At some point, when I was already passing, when I was walking on a dirt road, that road by the cemetery was a dirt road. It was very slippery, it was muddy, and I was just trying not to fall down. And I was passing but the gate. I was exhausted. I was cold and exhausted, and I
see from a distance that there is something blinking. At first I said maybe that's a cigarette, or maybe someone is walking with the lighter or light or something, flashlight. So I came close and I noticed that there is a bend in the gate and I can slip in. So that's what I did. As soon as I did that, immediately there was this odor, warmth, and pressure in ears. That was the first thing that I noticed. That the feeling was very strange. It was not something that you normally experience. However, I was curious what the blinking light is all about. So I start walking closer and I see that the blinking light is nothing more than someone is burning old leaves and twigs in a pile. So I was actually happy and I said, oh yeah, I am gonna warm up. Let's go closer. I wasn't afraid or anything like that. So as I are coming closer, I see that fire and I'm looking for a place where to sit down, and finally, when I am close enough, I see a man emerge from the darkness, and he was just first greeting me, and then he asked me, hey, do you want to smoke? I said, sure, why not? Do you have some? So he took a cigarette, the cigarettes from his pocket, and then we lit up one and started chatting a little bit. In front of that fire there was a little like a wooden stump. We sit down and we're just chatting, and suddenly from nowhere another guy appeared. This one was a little bit taller. He had dark blonde hair, skinny, and the first guy, it was a little bit stock build, about my height, and he had dark hair. We start chatting a little bit. I explained to them what I am doing here, that I am walking from a friend's house. I am just kind of cold, and I was hoping that I can warm up by this fire. And they say, absolutely, no problem. That's just. And the blonde guy asked me, do you want to have a wine? It kind of was surprising to me, but I said, yay, I am sobering. Why not? Just why not? So he said, okay, I am going to get some. At that point, I said to him, that's okay, but I don't have any money. I cannot pay for the wine. And he said, no problem. Next time it's going to be on you. So he stood up, walked a couple of feet into the darkness. I could still see the reflection that he is standing back to me. He stood up in front of something or someone, and then he was speaking in very low voice. But I gather from what he was doing is that he was arguing with someone, and turns out that was a lady sitting by a tree. It appears that she was knitting something, or she was just sitting there doing something with her hands. And finally, she reached behind her and she gave him the bottle of wine. So he showed up with the wine. I don't know how he got a glass. He poured the first glass. He gave it to me, say, drink it. I took a sip. I gotta tell you, I never have drink anything like that. It was different, but it was very pleasant actually. So we start chatting some more, and now that there was a trunk of a tree not far, it wasn't a big, but somehow, right now, all three of us, 4 of us, we are sitting on that trunk of a tree that turns out into the shape of a horseshoe. I noticed that, and I knew that there is something very odd about this, yet I could not, my brain didn't process that. I still had this, the pressure in the ears. However, I could hear them clearly when they were speaking. After a while, we started chatting about, because I wanted to know who they are, what they are doing here. So that lady, apparently, she died of some kind of women complication. I think that was ovarian cancer or something like that. She was in the early 40s. The man with the dark blonde hair, he died from liver failure, from alcohol poisoning. The guy with the dark hair, he died from some kind of heart complication. He had, I think, heart attack. Believe me, if you were in that situation and listening to this right now, you would say, man, get the hell out from there. There is something very wrong with the situation. My brain registered that, and I thought to myself, this is very odd that they are saying this story to me like that. And I should probably leave because there is something not right. But being in that situation, under the influence of the energy that I was present, it was normal to me. It's almost like I felt no danger, no threat of any kind coming from them or the situation that I am in. After a while, as we are talking and we are sitting on the tree stump, we hear behind us a twig break. They look at each other, they look at me, and they quickly say, you know what, you have to leave because he's coming. So I got up and started walking towards the gate. The fence around that cemetery wasn't that high, but I am walking towards the gate. And one of them say, no, you have to jump quickly, just jump over the fence. So I start running and I made it over the fence. And believe me, guys, I have no idea who he was, but I was in a big trouble, because as soon as I was on the other side of the fence, my ears pop out, but something else happened. I could not move a muscle. I was frozen. I just noticed that behind me there is ever expanding darkness, like massive abyss, like something that I have never experienced before. And I am trying to move forward at least one step. No can do. And I panicked. I got so in such a panic mood that I thought to myself, it's done. I am finished. But then I remember my personal prayer or personal mantra. I learned that a long time ago when I used to do Ouija boards. Yay! I did that when I was younger too. I did the spirit seances, where we call on spirit. So one of the protections that you do have, it's the protective mantra prayer or whatever. So make sure that if you are in trouble to do that. And I did that. And as soon as I start faintly saying those things, I noticed that I can finally move a little bit forward one step. Then I start in my mind saying the whole thing one more time over and over. Then I made second step and third step. And then finally I start saying this out loud. But I was in a mood of, like, I don't give a rat's ass now, you cannot get me. I am power. I am not afraid of you. You can do whatever you have. I have the power. You can't control me. And when that thing got into my brain, and then finally I realized the whole body was free from that restriction. And I started I started walking towards to the place where I was planning to crash on the couch. And to my side of my eye, I noticed the darkness was still there. It was deafening darkness, deafening. I mean, I cannot describe in any other way. So I knew that he's watching me and he was trying to hurt me badly, whatever he was. And once I show up at the place where I crashed, I talked to the guy. He was very nice, older man. He said, okay, no problem. I am going to watch the place from the other office, and you can have the couch. And I crashed in. But he asked me, like, what the heck happened to you? You look like you died already. Oh, man, you were so close of knowing the truth that you have no idea. I thought to myself, but I didn't say anything to him. I just want to quickly go to sleep to forget this whole incident. So this was like a nightmare. You may say to yourself, well, buddy, you were drinking beer. You were on a party where there was alcohol. So how do you know this was not just your imagination? You just have some bad dream and everything happened in that dream. You know, I had similar thoughts. I was thinking the same way. However, Each time I look at that, and I was passing near that cemetery a few times, each time I had the same feeling. I had the memories coming up to me over and over. It came to a point that even when I was sleeping, the memory was coming so fresh, and I saw this whole thing it was so realistic. And yes, I was using afterwards alcohol. I wasn't myself anymore. I could not shake that memory at all. For many years, I was not myself. And alcohol was my escape, but it wasn't like I was an alcoholic drinking every single day. I had the patches, like every 2-3 weeks, I was having like 2-3 days where I just didn't function at all. And each time I was trying to open my mouth to share that with somebody, I couldn't. I could not break myself inside and share that to let this go, because probably if I told that to someone, that would be a good idea. What I know today from further looking at this case, there was not far old airport field where small planes were landing. There were usually one engine or two engines, like something like Cessna. The farming industry was using them for sprayings and stuff like that. That field was out of commission, but not far from there, there was still a small military unit which had radar on. They were watching the skies. But in the meantime, sometimes they were bringing another radar on the military truck on that field, and they had some kind of exercises. And one of the soldiers that I met a long time afterwards, he said that this thing used so much energy and it was so dangerous. They knew that the radiation from the thing is coming. It was so huge. It was ridiculous. And I know that it is a possibility that because of the radars that we're using, somehow there was they anchor some of the filaments, or they open some frequency channel that was able to make this episode that happened to me possible. I don't have any other explanation for that. However, right now, when I am talking, I am still having flashes back of that event as if it happens yesterday. Although right now I am much easier to look at this and evaluate this whole thing, and look at other cases where people were saying similar, where people have similar stories, not necessarily with the cemetery, but they're having events. They were having events where they were driving in a car, or they were walking even in the city in the middle of the day. They found themselves in places where they couldn't recognize and quickly retrieve from there just to get back to our reality. So our world, our earth, our surroundings is very mysterious. It's shame that we don't investigate those things, those reports. But since this is money-driven world, we have what we have.
I want to thank you for being patient and watching this story of mine. I want to know your opinion on that. Perhaps one of you or many of you had some strange experiences that want to share with others. Please do so in the comment section. I always welcome any comments. So the next video is going to be a summary of all the causes and forces and causes of why people are disappearing, because there are so many. I try to put them in categories. You're gonna like it. For now, thank you for watching. Please do subscribe if you didn't yet. There is much more interesting content coming up. Please like this video, makes me a boost up, and click the notification bell so you will know when the new videos are coming. Okay, so have a pleasant day and bye for now.